Hey guys, clearly we don't have class today. Inclement weather is kind of keeping us out of the classroom today, which I'm sure you're all super bummed about. But in place of class today, I'm obviously going to be doing this lecture. Just kind of brief overview of spirituality again, including yoga and meditation. So that way we're leading into Friday, and Friday's activity day will be yoga. For those of you who were supposed to present today, I do apologize. Obviously, weather is out of our control. I will try and reschedule those. What may end up happening is you may end up doing online presentations, kind of like what I'm doing right now. That is the very last thing that I want to happen. So I'm going to try and work the schedule around to figure out what day we can kind of get that in. But I will let you know about that Friday, or I'll shoot you an email as soon as I find that out. After this lecture video, I really want you to go into the discussion board, and you have to post at least one main post answering my questions, and then you need to respond to at least one classmate afterwards. I really want this to be like a class discussion, so please feel free to write more than one person back, or if you really relate to another person, then message them, however you want to do it. But your responses need to be in depth. They need to be more than just great job, good post kind of thing. And it needs to be more thoughtful of like, I can relate to you on a spiritual level. I understand where you're coming from. I do this X, Y, and Z to help my stress management in relation to meditation and spirituality, or I don't believe in spirituality, but I do meditate, those sorts of things. So I want you to kind of use your personal experiences to respond like we would in a class discussion. So keep that in mind whenever you're doing class discussions. So again, we're going to talk about stress, spirituality, and meditation, a little bit of yoga, so a little bit of everything we've been talking about this week. What I didn't talk about on Monday, which is my fault, what exactly spirituality is. We jumped right into different entities of spirituality and different belief systems and how they became established in spirituality, but we didn't actually talk about what spirituality is and what it means to everybody individually. So let's break it down. So the first word is spirit, right? So spirit, which means the first breath. First breath, typically, that we can answer that enters our physical being with our first inhalation of birth. So that would be your spirit, is what we're saying. So the first breath that you take in life is your spirit, almost, is what some people believe. And then the quality of human spirit or soul or materials of physical things, that's of human concern. So the differentiation between human spirit or soul as opposed to material physical things, that typically comes with spirituality and being religious. That's most of the time what spirituality comes with. And then spirituality is also, we need to talk about how hard it is to come with just one definition. Spirituality is different to every single person, and it's very diverse. So it can encompass a lot of different things. So like we kind of talked about on Monday, of spirituality could be going to church for some people. Spirituality could be, like Cece was talking about, of going to the lake and reading her Bible. Or like Alexis was saying, that she doesn't really believe in religion. So spirituality, or maybe she doesn't believe in spirituality at all. So it's different for her. It's different for everybody. So spirituality could be an entity of things, and that's kind of what we're going to discuss a little bit more in depth today, is the diverse magnitude that spirituality is and what it does for stress management. We did talk about Carl Jung on Monday. Just to kind of reiterate, he believed that the significance of two unrelated events, when brought together, have significant meaning. So kind of, I'm trying to think of how you could put this together. So two seemingly unrelated events that you bring you somewhere. So maybe it's like Carl Jung meant that something is meant to happen almost. So say that you meet your significant other by walking into a coffee shop and the coffee shop and that person are not really related, but they brought you together. So that's kind of what Jung was talking about of significance of things that don't really have a relation. So we talked about Jesus quite a bit. Unconditional love. I think we can all remember Jesus. That's one that's pretty much drilled into our brain since birth almost. Okay, so I do want to talk about something we didn't talk about on Monday, which is 4 themes of nurturing human spirit. So how in the world do we nurture human spirit, and how do we nurture spirituality in the realm of stress management? So we talked about them at the very end of the themes of spirituality, so centering, emptying, grounding, connecting, but we didn't talk about them in depth. All spirituality have these on different levels. So centering is a time for soul searching. So you're cultivating one's internal relationship. You're getting to know yourself, and you're getting to know that higher power, that spirituality. So what is it that you want in life, or who do you want to be? What do you stand for? What is your character? All of those things. Soul searching is very, very important in life. We can't go anywhere, and we can't really establish or get any ground if we do not center ourselves. So make sure that you are taking the time to find out who you are. Soul search. And I don't mean sit in a corner or whatever you may think it might be. I think that soul searching is asking yourself those important questions through spirituality, through meditation, through yoga, all of those things that you are with yourself. Most of the time we don't meditate with other people. Sometimes we do yoga with other people, which we will on Friday. But you can do yoga by yourself, and you can kind of soul search of, where am I going? What do I want to do? Who do I want to do it with? Is this the person that I should be with? Is this the person I want to be? How can I be better? Those are questions that are very important to ask in life, and if you don't ask yourself those questions, then I would challenge you to contemplate what exactly you're trying to do with your life. Because those are important questions to ask yourself that are soul searching to kind of continue on with your life, not even in spirituality, but just in general. And then the next phase is emptying. So what they quote is the dark night of the soul, which is also considered to be winter. So winter. The emptying process is a time to release, detach, let go of thoughts, attitudes, beliefs that no longer serve you, that don't have a purpose. A lot of times we hold on to things that don't have a purpose in our lives. And I'm sure we could all think of multiple situations that don't serve you. So, for example, let me just give you an example of my grandmother. So, my grandmother holds grudges. Very much so. Unfortunately, I hate to say that about her. I love her to death. She is 75 and she holds grudges. So someone said something to her about a decade ago, and she still won't talk to that person. I don't really know what the conversation was. All I know is she refuses to talk to that person. So in that sense, emptying and forgiving someone is so therapeutic and so stress relieving, just to say, like, that's not a burden on you anymore. Just to say, you know what, it doesn't affect me. That person doesn't hold anything over me. Because whenever you detach and you let go of things, that doesn't control you anymore. So the more that you try to hold on to things, and the more that you grasp at those things that don't really matter, the more they take hold of you, and the more that you are grounded in something that's not substantial and it's not something that serves you. So I challenge you to think about things, not necessarily people, but things in your life that don't serve you, that don't make you better, that don't push your growth, that don't make you happy, and I challenge you to detach from them. and the most positive way that you can detach yourself from those things. I promise you'll be a lot happier. The third one is grounding. So the point at which new insights may be revealed to assist a person to move from point A to point B. So again, it's like the aha moment, the light bulb that comes off, that you're like, okay, so I can move from point A to point B and I'm not afraid anymore. So an example for grounding, a personal example for me, my partner and I were supposed to move to a different place, and that didn't work out. And it was very difficult for both of us. And so then eventually we got new information that revealed new insight that was better for us in the long run. So we were able to go from point A to point B. So it worked out in the long run. Just because something happens that you don't like doesn't mean that it's not for a good reason. So again, grounding, kind of getting new perspective on things, taking things more positively versus negatively. We could have taken it very negatively that we weren't going to move to a different place. But we didn't. It all worked out for the right reasons. So again, kind of grounding yourself, a new perspective, taking the positive things, so everything with a grain of salt. There's always something positive that you can find in a situation, no matter what it is. I'm not sure if I shared with you guys, but I do a grateful book every single day. Excuse me. Where I find at least 3 things in my day, which is very minimum of 3, that are positive. And I challenge you guys to think that way. That's more of a grounding situation where you're grounding yourself to be positive. And then connecting, a realization that we are all connected and we are all made in this connection of spirituality, of love. And a lot of times in society, we're pushing love. A lot of posts that I see that are very positive, of love each other. Women are pushing each other to compliment and love and empower every other woman. And I think society is kind of falling in suit of grasping for more love and appreciation versus condemnment and jealousy almost. So we need to realize that we are all connected to each other in some way, shape, or form. So you and I, as a class, we're all connected because we were together in this class. So therefore we have a connection. Whether it's your connection with a higher power, whether it's God, Buddha, like I said, or if you don't believe in a higher power, then you're still connected. You're connected to your parents, you're connected to your grandparents, you're connected to your friends, your family. We're all connected, and I challenge you to view that connection as a way to nurture and grow love. And not hate, more or less connecting with people and showing them love and kindness versus connecting with people or not connecting with people and showing them resentment and anger, which I think that society could use more of personally. And I think that stress management is a good way to present that information, because whenever we're in a society that's filled with resentment, then it can be a little stressful. So again, nurture and love. And it's important to remember that the common bonds of human spirituality can be viewed as a cycle of seasons. So what we didn't talk about on Monday is the centering process, which is the first stage is fall. So it's like a deep reflection of oneself, who we are and what purpose of life is. So the changing of the leaves, if you will, kind of thing. Of it's symbolic of you're finding yourself. So you're changing in color, hopefully more positively, like a bright color that fall presents. And then you're emptying, which would be winter. So you're entering a void where you're kind of getting rid of things and you're going through that cold, dark period. It's not really cold and dark. I don't view it as cold and dark. I kind of view it as winter is almost, how do I describe it? Obviously, we're in snow right now. I think snow is beautiful, and I think it's like a breath of fresh air, because you don't get snow all the time. We get rain all the time now. We get sun frequently, but you really don't see snow. So snow is kind of like a breath of fresh air, I think. So I view the emptying process as like a breath of fresh air, like winter. You're emptying things out that are cold, and moving forward. And then spring is the grounding process. So you've made space from your emptying process and you are looking for that epiphany or that intuition of where you need to go. So spring is kind of like the beautiful moment that everything, like you just went through a dark period and then it all of a sudden becomes really beautiful again and life is great kind of thing. And then the connecting process is summer, so we're connecting with something that's much bigger than ourselves and more powerful than ourselves, which tends to be a more summer type of thing of, beach, sunset, magnitude of the ocean that's much bigger than ourselves, those sorts of things. So moving forward, let's talk about internal and external relationships. So it's important for us to have a healthy relationship with ourselves and self-acceptance, like we're talking about with centering. A lot of these things are going to come back to the 4 themes of centering, emptying, grounding, and connecting. You're going to find a big connection in spirituality and stress management with those 4 things. So a healthy relationship with oneself, self-acceptance, and centering, we've talked about that a bunch in this class of if you can't love yourself, you can't love someone else, and that's very, very important. Centering starts by being honest. So again, you have to be honest with yourself and ask why you are the way that you are and what you're doing and why you're doing it. Be honest with yourself. If you can't be honest with yourself, who in the world are you going to be honest with? So just in reality, be honest with yourself. And then self-honesty is very important to maintaining a healthy interrelationship. So again, honesty, and it's important to be constantly challenging yourself in order to find your inner boundaries. So don't stay in that nice little bubble that we all create for ourselves. I'm not saying step out and commit a felony or whatever else to challenge yourself. I am saying that you constantly push yourself in a way that makes you a little bit afraid. Fear goes a long way. I've read a lot of quotes that say, if something makes you afraid, then you should do it. Rational fear, not I might go to jail if I do this fear. Okay? Big difference. Let's see. In external relationships, healthy external relationships are characterized by many different traits. So communication, forgiveness, compassion, acceptance, and tolerance. All of those things are very big for external relationships, and we will talk about communication very in depth in a few weeks. And staying a part of a community, that's very big. You are a part of a community right now, which is Western Carolina University. Some of you are a part of more integral, smaller communities. Maybe you're in part of fraternity or a sorority, or you are in an intramural club or team, or you're on a club team, or you're in athletics. So you have your own small communities within a big community. But once you get out of this community, you have to find yourself a new community. And as an adult, I can tell you that it is very difficult to find new communities that aren't readily at your hands outside of work. So make sure that you are connected with something outside of work, outside of school, that does you good for spirituality. Personal value system is very important with spirituality. We've already kind of established that with some people believing in spirituality and some people not believing in spirituality. So values are personal beliefs that are developed throughout our lives. However, most are formally introduced in childhood. So our values and our belief systems are more than likely attached and developed whenever we are children. Sorry, I'm needing my morning caffeine here. And then many values are learned from respected role models and attempt to earn their respect. So a lot of times, whoever that role model for you is, maybe it's your mom, maybe it's your dad, maybe it's your grandma, maybe it's your grandpa. We learn from them and we try to establish respect from them by doing those things and believing those things. So, for example, as a child or as a teenager, you want to earn your parents' respect, so you go to church. Most of the time, that's what happens is your parents expect you to go to church. That's kind of how you earn their respect. If you decide not to go to church, not saying that parents don't force you to go to church, or maybe you have an option, maybe you don't. But most of the time, if you decide not to go to church, sorry, I'm not really sure why this is getting dark on me. Most of the time, if you decide not to go to church, your parents kind of, I know for me, for my individual experience, and my parents never forced church on me. They never said you have to go. It was my decision, but it was also based on I wanted to earn their respect, so I went to church. And I remember the first time whenever I told my parents that I didn't really necessarily want to go to church that day, they were disappointed in me. It wasn't that I didn't want to stop going to church. In general, it was just the fact that I didn't necessarily enjoy the church that we were going to. It didn't fit me. It didn't serve me very well. So for me, I wanted to be involved in something different than the church that they had established themselves in. So moving forward, our values often shift when we age. So the older we get, our values tend to kind of change a little bit and shift when we have our own experiences, which can cause personal conflict and stress. Resolving these conflicts can lead to great personal growth. So different value systems can change the older we get, kind of thing. So an example would be your parents don't believe in drinking, and the older that you get, the more you find that it's not really an issue. So it's not an issue for you. So your value system is different from your parents and what you were raised, which can be a challenge for you and your family as you establish that belief. And then it takes conscious effort to resolve these problems, and most do not want to take the time. The effort is necessary for inner peace and awareness. So you have to take the time to confront those conflicts, and that's anything with life. Whether it's with your parents or with yourself or with somebody else, you have to take the time to resolve those conflicts, or it's going to be a long road for you. And then you have to have a meaningful purpose in life. We talked about finding purpose in life on Monday. It's very, very, very important for your spirituality and for your individual health, for stress management as well. If you don't feel like you have a purpose, you tend to be more stressed and you tend to be not the most fun person to be around. Frankl believed that in order to find your purpose, it's important to accept that, how do I explain this? So your health and your mindset often decline after a purpose is realized. So once we've established what our purpose is, then we often kind of drift off. We don't feel like we found our purpose. We've maybe accomplished our purpose. So then what is our new purpose? We have to find a new purpose. And then what happens after that? So most of the time, retirement happens after we've found our purpose and we've completed our purpose. So we have to find a new purpose. And Frankl suggests that this is a necessary step that is important to accept and to move on to a new purpose. So you have to accept that you fulfilled one purpose and then move forward with that. You can't just live in the past. So you could say that this is much like high school athletics of someone who continues to live in the past. They completed their purpose in high school. They graduated, but now they're not finding a new purpose in life. They're not finding a new goal. They're stuck there, and they're not in the realization that they have a new purpose. That's the same thing when we get older in life. So some people who are retired have completed their purpose, but they still live in the past of their job of, well, I did this and I did that, and this person's not doing that anymore. So I did it better and I need to go back and fix it. You have to move forward. And then purpose can mean different things for different people. There's really no preordained purpose for every individual. So someone's purpose could be, you just never know. Some people's purpose could be being a doctor and saving lives. Another person could be being a cashier and giving out Bible verses. Another person's purpose could be saving puppies. That sounds like a great purpose to me. I'd love that purpose. One could say that my purpose is spreading health and wellness to you guys, to individuals, helping people be better in their lives. It just depends on who you are, and there's not one set answer for everybody. Okay, and then spirituality for meditation and yoga. So Spirituality ties with meditation and yoga, so you can believe in God, supernatural force. Yoga and meditation are supposed to give you a way to get away from everything else and just be closer in whatever you believe in, meditation or yoga, or both. Meditation and yoga are also found to improve life, concentration, focus, relaxation, all that sorts of stuff. So meditation is actually found to be very beneficial. It helps with brain waves, it helps with brain cells. They found that it helps decrease cancer, it decreases disease, it decreases your resting heart rate, it decreases blood pressure. There's so many benefits to meditation. It's unbelievable. So don't think that meditation means like you're sitting in your living room Indian style and you're saying, okay. No, that's not how meditation works. Meditation, a good example of meditation could be yoga, could be a way to meditate, or you listen to calming piano music and you meditate, or you're outside and you're hiking and you're just sitting there and you're enjoying the outdoors. That could be meditation. There's a lot of different things that could be viewed as meditation. So, with all of that being said, I would really like for you guys to participate in the discussion board, and that will be due Thursday at midnight, so you have today and tomorrow to do it. If you have any questions, please shoot me an email. Otherwise, we will meet in the Fit Lab on Friday. Have a wonderful snow day.